Today, did we neglect the Nintendo Direct? I expect that point will be checked. This is ChillPoint. In our defense, the Nintendo Direct was literally while we were recording CheckPoint.
Oh, yeah. No. You guys were done recording CheckPoint by the time it started.
Oh, yeah, right, because
it started at 3.
We finished at
2.
Yeah, like 1:45. Oh, no, we did finish at 2.
You finished at 2. I know exactly when you finished.
Yeah.
That's a very late Nintendo Direct. Nintendo Directs are always like 6 a.m. or something.
Yeah, 9 a.m.
Except for like the E3 ones. The E3 ones will be like 9 or 10. But they like to do like these 6 a.m. ones that I'm like, nah, I'll catch it later. I won't read Twitter. I'll wake up, it'll be the first thing I do, and then I'll read Twitter. But
it's like they're in another country or something. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
It's like we're in one of the last time zones that gets aired, and nobody else wants to be up at 6 a.m.
Hey everybody, welcome to ChillPoint. Hour later than we normally are because of the Fam Jam that was just on, but no less video game newsy. And so this is a show where we talk about the week's video game news and also yesterday's episode of CheckPoint, our video game news show that's up on youtube.com/loadingreadyrun. I was saying to Heather that before we get into the stories from CheckPoint, we should actually talk about there's the Castlevania thing from the Nintendo Direct, which apparently wasn't actually confirmed when Beej was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There was some. What we knew is that, or rather, the reason I knew about it is because on Nintendo Life they had pics from Play Asia showing that there was an East Asian release, like a Taiwan release, and also an American release, or they stamp a U.S. flag on these things. They say American release, right? So there's an English North American release coming out physically, and so I was like, I don't know if that means that this exists or not, or did they actually or did somebody else mock up the whatever? But it's like, I'd never heard about any of this stuff getting announced at all. And they even, I think, said in the article, it's like the expectation is that they will announce it during the Direct tomorrow. And I was like, okay, but PlayAsia's already gone as far as mocking everything up, so they must know something ahead of time and just got it out on the market too fast. So,
but breaking the news. On CheckPoint.
Yep.
Which are the three? It's 3 of them, right?
4.
Ooh.
So it's the Castlevania Advance Collection. So it's Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, Aria of Sorrow, the 3 that came out on Game Boy Advance. And just for fun, they threw in Dracula X or Rondo of Blood, whichever one you want to refer to. The take on it is probably most likely it is the Super Nintendo version of Rondo of Blood. It is not the PC Engine original. Even though everyone says the PC Engine original is the superior game. And as far as I understand, the game itself just isn't very good. I've tried playing it and I'm kind of like, it looks really cool and controls whatever, but I'm kind of like, I didn't feel like playing it.
I have, Jared was saying, Jeremy Petter, who's a big Castlevania fan, he was saying that it's one of those games where it's rare, like it's a rare game, and it's really hard to get right now.
Yeah.
And so people are really excited about it because it's like, ooh, we get to finally play this like game that we've only heard of. But people might be disappointed. There might be a reason why it hasn't been re-released until now. I remember. I kind of wish Castlevania was keeping with their musical system of naming that they did for like a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Symphony of the Night, Rondo of Blood.
Harmony of Dissonance.
I thought Paul was gonna be like, in Japan they do like all these musical set things like they do with Sailor Moon, but it's all Castlevania, and I was kind of like, I kind of want to see that.
I mean, they could have made the Castlevania Netflix series a musical.
I want to see that. I wish actually.
How many
would love to
songs
see.
about Dracula are there?
Like 6, at least.
Yeah. I was hoping they would get to like, start running out of things, and they'd be like Polka of Peril. Whatever. Hootenanny of Horror.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Don't phone that shit in. That's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, I very fondly remember Circle the Moon on GBA. Although it was one of the very early GBA games. And I feel like the demo, or maybe the like development units of the GBA that they were building things on, had better screens than the actual release thing, because it was known for being like ridiculously dark.
Yeah.
Because the GBA screen was, the original GBA screen was not good. And Circle the Moon was moody, shall we say, in terms of it was done like a Castlevania game. Like it was all kind of dark woods and leather and browns and blacks and stuff. But then you can tell though, because then Harmony of Dissonance, which was the second game for GBA, is like super bright, and like everything has like big outlines around, like white outlines around it, and all the sprites are bigger, and they're just like, okay, we have to make sure people can actually like see this. But yeah, although my favorite thing about I remember about the GBA screen, there's a great Penny Arcade comic. Or Penny Arcade, I think maybe it was just the text post where he was talking about how it's a testament to how good the GBA is, or how good the games on the GBA are, that I spent I spent an hour playing it in my bathroom, because that's the only room that had good enough lighting. Anyway, so new Castlevania stuff, or the Castlevania re-releases. Are they being like remastered, or is it just like a bundle and re-release?
I think it's just a bundle.
Yeah, it's just the original games.
It's got some like quality of life stuff though, right? Like saves and.
I think it has like save states and rewind and stuff like that built in.
Nice.
So,
but not like we've redone all the bottles or anything. Of that degree. No.
It's just going to be easy to see, because it's going to be on a very bright, big backlit screen.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Circle the Moon had a neat kind of like this like card mechanic where all the enemies would drop different cards, and you could like combine them, different stuff. So it could be neat. And then of course the other.
It's okay. There's Kleenex down here.
There was also the Nintendo Direct news about the new Mario movie, which is like the thing that everyone has been. Which we don't really have like any information about the Mario movie.
We know nothing about the movie
other than like some casting choices.
We know the date it intends to release, when people can watch it, and we know what characters are in it based on who they've casted for the characters, and that's it. And every time they kept talking about the casting, I kept forgetting that this was supposed to be an animated movie, because I was just like, I want to see all of these people have to act this out.
Yeah.
It's like live action. That's how I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's like, really? That's
And I mean, I could go on for goddamn days about the fact that voice acting anytime there's a big animated movie, you essentially end up stunt casting it. And there's a whole video that was it Lindsay Ellis who made? It was
Lindsay Ellis. It was about Disney movies that do that.
And how Robin Williams essentially set up, and it wasn't Robin Williams' fault, it was just how Robin Williams' involvement in Aladdin basically fucked every animated movie from here to breakfast till the end of time, because it's just like, get somebody who's a talented actor with their voice, and everyone's like, just get a talented actor. It's like, no,
they'll do
sorry.
They'll do their voice.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the big one is that Chris Pratt is doing the voice of Mario.
Mm.
It's also the one they
Noted.
started with when they showed the big picture of Chris Pratt next to a picture of Mario, and you can hear I don't know, like in English it was just like, Chris Pratt's gonna be Mario. Chris is cool.
Noted Italian Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And there's actually, since that direct, Chris Pratt did a little video on the internet talking about um getting this role and being very happy about it. It sounds like he's gonna do a voice that's not his. But
He's actually going to do a voice. Yeah.
yeah, and because he's like, it's me and Mario. That's not the voice. You don't get to hear the voice right now. But he has this really cute
me, Mario.
this cute story where he's just like, I there was like this game machine down at like the convenience store or the arcade with the Super Mario game on it, and I always wanted to play it, and I needed a quarter. I stole a quarter out of the wishing well. And then he just pauses. It's this amazing pause, like he's just thinking about it for the first time. He's like, I stole someone's wish. I got my wish, but I stole someone else's. It's really cute.
And he was kind of like that thing. It's like, that's probably going to come back to bite me someday. And I'm kind of like, Chris, it's coming back to bite you right now. You got your wish, and everyone fucking hates it.
I feel like most people, there's the best reaction is people are just generally confused, and then there's just like the hate.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Mario is it's like, since the Mario Brothers Super Show back in the day.
Yep.
Have we heard Mario speak more than like 2 words in a row?
So
in
there
anything?
there was a cartoon series, a couple of them.
Yeah, the Mario 3D one.
A more recent cartoon series?
Because there's Mario Super Show, and then there was Super Mario Brothers 3, and then there was also Super Mario World was bundled into that thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of all the same era, but it is technically
Mario
newer
Sunshine, I guess, maybe. Did he have a lot of voices in that? That one was voice acted.
Yeah, and like the Mario and Luigi games have a lot of that kind of stuff, but
that's
no actual voices, right? Like
like he makes a lot of like vocalizations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll have like one or like little like 1 or 2 word things.
Yeah.
I'm a Mario. I'm gonna win.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was watching it, I was like, I guess as the gamer, you're like, I expect Charles Martinet because he's well known for doing a bunch of the voices. And it's almost like, I guess they couldn't get him. And then they show him later in the same announcement. It's like, he's going to show up as surprise cameo characters. And I'm just like, oh okay.
Yep.
So, that's a choice.
So I'm assuming, is there already a petition to put Waluigi in?
I haven't seen it yet.
They did
if
not give
why
Waluigi a name, did they? I do think I want to see Jack Black be Bowser. I don't know why, but he was fun in Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna be Bowser.
Yeah.
I like
He's Bowser. Seth Rogen
will be
is Donkey Kong.
Which is funny because
so it's not just a Mario movie.
Yeah, they've been kind of like, well, they're like, technically Donkey Kong does not really fit into the Super Mario universe in the same way, is what they're saying, and I'm like, it's whatever, it's extended, but they're like, yeah, but Donkey Kong's going to be in the movie, and it's Seth Rogen, and everyone's been posting pictures of like Donkey Kong like playing with a banana, or just like pictures of him, whatever, and just Seth's like really throaty, just belly laugh kind of thing. And everyone's like, okay, I can kind of get behind that because it's going to sound weird as hell. And then, but my pick, the person I think is going to do the best job and everyone's going to be incredibly happy with, is Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. Because Fred Armisen's just like a weird comic. And I'm like, he's going to just nail something so good. Everyone's going to be like, it's a good Cranky Kong. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to think about the fact that Fred Armisen's in that role. You're just going to be happy that it's like, this sounded good. This was like, this might not be what I would have picked for Cranky Kong, but it'll be probably just fine, and you're going to like it just fine. Is how I think that's going to come out. Everything else is going to be like, oh, is that Anya Taylor-Joy playing Princess Peach? Oh yeah, it's Princess Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm listening to Princess Anya Taylor-Joy doing the whole thing. It's like everyone's going to just recognize fucking voices, and you're going to have that in your head while you're watching the show. So, no one's going to try to disappear.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty good for like watching animated things and just sort of and not being too distracted by the like if the voice is a very recognizable person. Like I don't find it too hard to kind of ignore the fact that they're whatever Sylvester Stallone just being Sylvester Stallone or whatever it is.
But like I'll watch The Incredibles and I will not twig to Craig T. Nelson at all. But every time Holly Hunter says something, it's like, oh yeah, that's who that is. Because she has a very distinctive voice.
Yeah, I honestly think like everyone right now is just like, oh, Hollywood ruins everything. This is whatever. And I'm like, we're doing the Sonic movie thing again, where we all bitch and complain about a thing we've kind of not really seen, and it'll be fine. In the end, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It might not be stellar. It might not be for the 30 to 50-year-old audience. It'll be for the people who take their kids to the movie.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah,
but it'll be fine. The Sonic movie ended up being pretty okay, but it's not what I would have wanted out of a Sonic movie.
To be honest, I
fine.
can't. I don't really think. I can't really think of that much better it could have gone for the Sonic movie. Not in the sense that it's a great movie, but just in the sense that like Sonic is so all over the place in terms of its actual like what the story of and what like you want to use the Sonic character for, that it's like, yeah, this is great. This is totally good.
And I'm going to clarify this so I don't have to hopefully read too many YouTube comments about it, but I'm not talking about the moaning and complaining about Sonic's character design.
No.
I understand those feelings. I'm talking about the people who are like, oh, they're making a Sonic movie and he's not going to be in Sonic Land doing the Green Hill Zone thing, and he's doing a buddy cop thing, and how dare they do not make a video game thing the way I expect a video game thing to be made.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the question. Yeah, is I guess presumably if it's not going to be like animated characters with real life people, if all of those if all of those people are in it, like that's the problem obviously with Mario, is that like, is Mario an animated character? Is he a real person? Who knows? the whatever the problem with the big city,
New Donk City.
Yeah, New Donk City.
Yeah, it's like these are all humans as well. What happened to Mario?
I mean,
is Mario not a human?
Out of anything for this movie, I don't want to see them do another kidnap Princess Peach, kind of what they do for a video game, thin layer of story to make a game happen. I'd just like to see something different happen.
I mean,
anything else.
They don't even do that in the video games anymore. So, like, I feel like they would probably have to do more than that. All right, let's let's give a talk quickly about. Was there anything else in the Nintendo Direct?
There's lots of stuff.
Well, the other big thing is that Nintendo's adding what they call an expansion pack to the Nintendo Switch Online, where they're going to add in Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games.
That's Sega Mega Drive for you that don't live in our region.
So, how is that an expand? Or as in, like, are you gonna have to buy that separately?
Yeah, it's gonna be a separate tier thing. They're gonna tell us pricing in October, I think it sounds like, and because this is gonna happen in October, and we'll hear pricing soon.
Yeah,
but it's like it sounds like it's a tiered. This will cost extra on top of what the Nintendo Online thing already is, which is cloud saves and NES and SNES games and whatever other things they throw in there. And then this will be for your Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games.
Yep. And if you're already subscribed, then you can bump your subscription up by buying whatever the expansion pack thing is going to be, or it's not just for new people only, or you have to wait for it to like run out.
Yeah.
It's
And because of that, they're selling the Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis controllers, like they did with
oh wow,
the wireless ones for.
wow.
They do
It's
not look like they connect to the side of my Switch, which
No.
I didn't expect them to, but I wanted to see the imagery of it because watching the Nintendo controllers stick to the side of the Switch were funny for me, and I just wanted to see them do it.
An N64
Cowards.
controller in the Switch style. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I do like that they're putting Sega Genesis games on equal footing with N64 games, like rather than putting them at the Super Nintendo level.
I think
That's an interesting
it's yeah.
choice.
I think it's largely because it's like to do this stuff is going to take the reason I think why they're in an expansion pack, and again speculation, is just because it's like extra work to have to absorb this into the whole thing, and they're like, well, it's the new, like, it could have been Game Boy games and Sega Genesis games could have come out at the same time, and it's just like we have to put in extra work, so we want extra money, and I'm like, makes sense to me.
I mean, yeah, of course. The reason why they're putting in an expansion pack is that they think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the games they showed off that they want to start off the N64 with were what you expect, like Ocarina of Time, Star Fox 64, and
Yeah.
such. But then they also showed off a bunch of games they intend to bring out later, which made me very happy because it was like, oh, Majora's Mask. I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Yes, I want people to play that game.
The Kirby N64
Pokemon
game.
Snap. Yeah, Kirby 64.
Yeah,
And
Pokemon
I'm like,
Snap was a good one.
There's actually a few in here that I haven't played that I
Paper Mario.
yeah, Paper Mario was not one I expected them to put up.
Are they going to bring out the Mario games that they re-released and then took off the thing? Like, are you going to be able to get like the original N64 version of Mario 64, even though that they took that?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
I mean,
that's in the expansion pack. Yeah.
Wait, Mario 64 was in there?
Yeah, Mario 64 is in there. Mario Kart 64 is in there. Yeah, go have a look.
You sure?
Winback is in there of all things. I was really surprised to see that show up. Sin and Punishment's in there, but what isn't in there?
Oh shit, you're right.
Wave Race 64 isn't in there.
No,
And
no.
I thought for sure it would be like, well, that's like a launch title practically. I thought they would have thrown that in for sure. Yoshi's Story is in there, which I've never played. I hear that's supposed to be pretty good.
Presumably they'll be adding more as time goes on, eh?
Absolutely. Like the ones we know that are coming up, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Golf, F-Zero X. Oh, Japan's getting Custom Robo and Custom Robo V2, but we're not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Pokemon Snap and was like a future release. Paper Mario is a future release. It's not part of the thing. For those of you who are like, Paper Mario isn't in there, it is. It's just not there at launch.
Oh yeah, what about GoldenEye?
Because it's owned by Rare, I bet you will never see it.
Probably not.
The same reason why we haven't gotten a GoldenEye remake in any other way is that the rights are owned by like 5 different people.
Yeah.
I'm super happy that Rystar is in the Sega Genesis pack.
Yeah, Heather was like, Rystar. I'm like, what? She's like, I used to play that.
I like Rystar.
I had that for my Game Gear.
It was one of the few games that I completed like by myself as a kid. I was very happy about it.
Yeah.
Strider is in the Genesis one as well. You get Sonic 2, but not the original Sonic.
That's
I'm like,
fine.
that's
No one
fine.
needs to play the original.
Castlevania Bloodlines. So if you're desperate to play a Castlevania game that came out for Sega Genesis, there's your Castlevania game. Contra Hardcore. Again, if you're dying to play a Contra game that came out for Genesis, there you go. Golden Axe is in there. Gunstar Heroes.
Nice.
Echo the Dolphin, which I still don't understand why people like that game, but I guess they do. Phantasy Star 4 is in there. Shining Force is in there. Like, they really set up, like, the Genesis collection is like, here's everything I was looking at. I was like, wow, these are all like really like the big hitters.
I mean, if they're starting an extra tier that you have to sign on to, they have to start strong.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why? Like, you have to pull people to want to.
Exactly.
Right.
But no Earthworm Jim yet.
Yeah, it's fine. No one needs to.
But I mean, like a lot of those games were available for Super Nintendo as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Like,
like
I'm assuming if a game was available for both, they'll just release the Super Nintendo version.
almost assuredly. I mean, which would if the EA sports games ever get released, I'm sure people will hue and cry about you didn't get the one that's better on the one that was on my system, which was the better one, and it's like yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go through some headlines real quick.
Okay.
We got new Kirby and the Forgotten Land,
Open
3D.
world 3D, right? That's
Possibly
what it sounds
open world?
like. Yeah,
Definitely
Just-
3D run around 3D environment.
yeah.
Right, not just
Which
the
is-
2.5D, which is very interesting.
Yes. Bayonetta 3 is coming out in 2022, so anyone who's been waiting, they announced that back in 2017, so there have been people waiting and weirded out when
What?
Platinum's been like, stop asking us, it'll be fine.
What's her
Her
hair
new-
look like now?
It's twin drills brought around the front, dropped across her chest.
That's how you just differentiate the different eras of Bayonetta.
And,
Yeah,
and
she
it
long
kinda,
hair, short
kinda
hair.
looks like she can turn into a giant Godzilla. Like, I don't know, it was weird.
Yeah, she's got
Seems fine.
yeah, it's her outfit is a lot because there's so much gold, just jewelry everywhere.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, in the first game, technically, her outfit was her hair. So, I mean, that's an improvement, I guess.
Then we have Monster Hunter Rise is getting a paid DLC called Sunbreak. People who were like, yeah, more Monster Hunter, you get that. They talked about Splatoon 3 some more. We got the Squid Scientist coming back to tell us about Splatoon 3, which made me happy from a marketing perspective because I think it's cute. Voice of Cards game by with Yoko Taro working on it.
It's like a top-down RPG, but everything's a card, including all the tiles that you step on. They're just all. It's like if somebody laid out a bunch of backs of cards that had bricks on them. That's the tiles you walk on as you're exploring stuff. The forest is all like trees. Tree cards around the town.
Yeah,
that
I
has
think it looks
brick
really
cards.
cool.
It's a really interesting look.
It's got a demo out on the Switch right now, but it's coming out in October. If you wanted a Mario Kart, you don't get one. You get Chocobo GP. So I hope you like your Final Fantasies. Triangle Strategy is now the name of Project Triangle Strategy,
Yep.
which we all called back when they announced the game.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, everybody. They
made all-
really burned the midnight oil on the namings there, right?
The neat thing about this is Square sent out a survey during the demo release of this game, and then they took all of that feedback, synthesized it, and said, "All right, here's what we can do to improve the game." Watch the direct; they talk about some of the changes they've made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I think that's the second time they've done that, and I'm kind of hoping they continue to do that formatting. ActRaiser Renaissance. This was a big deal to some
Yeah.
people. Jeremy Petter being one.
I couldn't believe this.
I am a huge fan of the ActRaiser, the original ActRaiser. The second one is dumb, but the first one
Yeah.
is great.
I spent 20 minutes explaining to
Yes.
Heather why ActRaiser 2 was not a good idea.
Beach told me why ActRaiser 1 was great, and then how ActRaiser 2 did not do those things, and therefore it was awful.
Yeah.
And also Soul Blazer. Maybe they could re-release
Oh.
that too.
God. I mean, that's Quintet, I think. Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terranigma are all by the same company.
For whatever reason, in my mind, since I was a kid,
Yeah.
ActRaiser and Soul Blazer were connected. Like I for some
Yeah.
reason I always had this idea that Soul Blazer was somehow like made by the same people or a sequel or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
spiritual successor to ActRaiser when it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a totally different game.
Yeah.
But
But they need to bring Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terranigma to some sort of service so people can play them, because they're one of my favorite action RPGs ever made.
yeah.
Then we had Dying Light 2 Stay Human as a cloud version, and they're also putting out the prequel as a not cloud version
So-
of Dying Light.
Yeah, so Dying Light Platinum Edition is what they're calling that.
Deltarune Chapter 2 is coming to Switch.
And if you've already bought Chapter 1, you're just getting it for free.
So
Nice.
there's great. Animal Crossing is getting a direct in October, but they definitely finally teased that we're getting the Roost, and Brewster is going to be there, and everything's good again.
They didn't actually ever show Brewster himself, but they did show the roost.
I don't think you can have the roost without Brewster.
And
I
then
think there will be a revolt.
And they did put a flat of his picture up, but they never showed his whole model. They just was like, but then they never mentioned him by name, which was really great. Like, it was like they did everything but actually like say, yeah, Brewster's in this one, so you have to wait for the direct.
Yeah,
They'll be like, now you can get a picture of Brewster to hang
Yeah.
on your wall.
Yeah.
It's that time of
The Smash.
yes, I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
It's that time of year again where you can figure out what the last Smash character is going to be, because they're going to tell you on October 5th in a completely separate place with Sakurai doing it. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is going to be the last Smash character ever, because Sakurai will never be able to make a Smash game again, and therefore this character will be Sakurai himself.
Yes, put $50 in Vegas on that. It is almost assuredly going to be Sakurai himself. We have insider knowledge. Our uncle works at Nintendo.
Your uncle works at Nintendo.
Your uncle works at
I
Nintendo.
run Nintendo. I refuse to have other people work at Nintendo for me. Okay. I am the one who lives within the walls.
Excellent.
Yeah, so the last DLC character will be talked about then, and so everybody who listens to any gaming news, that will be what everybody talks about for the next week and a half. Hyrule Warriors, they
just like the Nintendo logo
the expansion
with
pass.
Arms and legs.
Yeah. Jesus, that'd be so
It's either
great.
gonna be really good or real disappointing, and the reaction's gonna be nothing but. Yeah, they explained the last of the expansion pass DLC for Age of Calamity.
New playable characters.
Robbie and Pereira are there. They look
And
like
one
they
more.
might play together. And yeah, then there's another character they didn't name, so
Yeah.
there's some story stuff there. They revealed some more boards for Mario Party Superstars, which is all online play and stuff.
Which is basically, if you don't know what this is, it's boards from the original N64 era games that have been graphically updated and probably had a few things changed and tweaked and added to that, running in beautiful 1080p on the Switch, which makes me think that we might see like a Mario Party Superstars 2 someday, where it's like, here's some more boards, or they might do a DLC path for this.
I'm kind of hoping they go with DLC.
Yeah.
Personally.
Being able to buy more boards for a Mario Party game just kind of makes like implicit sense.
You know, you're a real Switch fan. The game isn't out yet, and you're like, man, the sequel, that's the one that's going to be great.
It's just knowing that they're like, we went to the N64 well and we pulled these all back. I was kind of like, that. Well, if you only put in 5 boards from that era, it stands to reason that you have probably about like 25 or 30 boards to choose from. Why not pull a few more in and sell that and make more money?
Hey, maybe. Speaking of DLC, Mario Golf got some. It's a free update, some new characters, some new courses.
Yeah.
Disc Elysium, the final cut, is coming out in October 12th, with a physical version later in next year.
Sounds kind of fun, and I never considered playing it before, but maybe I will.
Oh, I've been wanting to play it ever since I heard Corey talking about it.
Yeah.
I have a backlog, so it's been easy to put off. Knights of the Old Republic is coming to Switch.
Which we'd known about from a previous announcement.
Right.
Did we?
Well, it was
doing a remake.
Yeah, it was announced that there was going to be a remake of Knights of the Old Republic, like for
based on what they showed, I don't
lots
think this
of different
is the remake.
systems.
Okay.
And I guess now they're announcing it's going to come out for the Switch as well.
Yeah. Aspire is bringing it to Switch.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
but
getting remastered, but this is the original version.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ooh.
based on what they showed, this is the original.
Sure sounds like what you do to the Switch.
That happens with the Switch actually quite a bit. A remaster will come out of like Doom or something, and then the Switch will get like, or about it.
Right.
Castlevania Advanced Collection we talked about. Disney Magical World 2 Enchanted Edition, which is a 3DS game that's getting ported over. It's, I think, basically Tomodachi Life Animal Crossing, but Disney.
Yeah, you run around with your Miis and you dress up like princesses and dance.
Honestly,
with
it
the
looks cute.
Yeah.
Shadowrun Trilogy, which Beej is very happy about.
I don't need it because I've played all the games, but the fact that
You were so happy when it showed up on the
I was just
screen.
like, oh god, Shadowrun! I didn't even care that it was the ones that have already gotten released that I've already played and finished. I was just like, the fact that this exists, and kind of was tempted to be like, man, if they have a physical release, I'll keep an eye on that and maybe acquire a copy someday. But I was like, this is really good. Another place for people to play more of this game. So
I should play those. I have a bunch of them because Epic gave them away for free
yes.
a few months
Yeah,
ago. So I have a bunch of them, but I have not actually tried. I have not actually played them. I should.
I recommend playing them in order because of the improvements they make on every game. Because I think if you play the new, they're not connected in any way. But if you did play Hong Kong, and then you go back to play Shadowrun Returns, you'd be like, why are there things I can't do?
And I would recommend, if you're going to play them on the Switch, probably not to play them in handheld, because based on what they showed, I don't think they're going to be readable in the handheld.
The text is way too small, and if they're showing actual gameplay footage from the Switch one, it's like, oh no, that's
there's
gonna be
no
a problem.
way. There's no way that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei 5 still exists. Rune Factory 5 got a release date for March 2022. My understanding is same-sex marriages are allowed in this one, so
cool.
Step forward.
Yep.
Arcade Archives Pac-Man, nobody cares, and
and Xevious, but nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
That's fair.
And then this thing says a thing about a sizzle reel.
So we knew about Hot Wheels Unleashed, so that you can build your own tracks and stuff and race all sorts of cars that were in movies. Surviving the Aftermath, which I think people might have seen already. I watched Let's Game It Out, and he'd played, I think, Surviving the Aftermath for the PC on there, or at least a pre-release copy, and it's a procedurally generated world-building game set in a post-apocalyptic future, and it's like you have to build like a gate and fences, and everything's made out of garbage because it's like that's all that there's left. It's just, so you're building camps and stuff to kind of keep your people safe from inevitably when the zombies show up and try to get in. And then Wreckfest, which is a demolition derby themed racing game. But you have to go watch those things to see if you like those things.
Yeah,
cool.
So it's a pretty decent direct. And a confusing thing in the middle about Mario casting.
Yeah, and a big thing about Dread that I skipped because Heather said, "Hey, you might want to skip this because it shows a lot more in the game." And I'm like, "Oh, I wanted to go in as blind as I could."
If you were the Dread commercial was really weird because so it showed a lot of stuff, but then it had a very I want to say British sounding lady talk about how if you want to learn more and see more, you could go to like this website to see all the volumes of stuff they've been tweeting of like all the videos and the in-depth stuff. And the game's not out yet. Stop telling me about all the in-depth things. But yeah, I would, if you're like, it's a couple days late, maybe I'll watch the direct, and you might want to skip the Metroid Dread part.
I suddenly if you want to be as blind as I am, yeah.
I suddenly had this vision in had this like realization in my brain. It's like, wait, is Samus British?
Yeah, right?
I've never heard her speak.
Yeah.
I only see text.
I don't think you're about to now.
I want, you know what? Actually, now that we're just bringing it up, I want her to have an accent that's completely surprising. Like I want her to have like a Trinidad accent or something. I want it to be something you didn't expect.
Yeah, she has a what is it, a Chozoan accent.
Yeah.
I mean, she should, right? Like she's been with them since small times.
Yeah, her speech should be inflected by how they taught her to speak.
Oh, right, that's true. There is other M, but nobody cares about it.
No, nobody counts that.
Yeah,
I've barely played Metroid games, and I know nobody counts that one.
Yeah, I will play it myself though at some point because I do want to just try. The gameplay is what's important. I give a shit about the cinematics, but yeah.
I've done Samus Returns and Zero Mission now.
Yeah.
So I have all the information I need to go into Dread. Now I'm gonna go on to Super Metroid eventually here.
Super Metroid is good, but it's Zero Mission is kind of the same thing, but better. There's my controversial take.
There's a lot more control options and abilities built into Super Metroid though, like because you have more buttons to play with.
But the whole point of Super Metroid was that you were going back to the same place,
Exactly.
which is also what Zero Mission is about. So
Yeah. So they both take place on the same planet. So you're going to be familiar with all the names of stuff. So there's
Oh,
that.
sure. I'm laughing at Paul's controversial take because the moment he said "but," I knew it was going to be controversial.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the internet talk about these games, and I'm like, there's a whole bunch of people who are like, Super Metroid is the best game, bar none. The end.
Yeah. And this is good. If Heather playing Super Metroid gives me enough time to worry out a way to connect my GameCube and Game Boy player up to my TV, which I don't own, so I can put my Game Boy cartridge of Metroid Fusion in, so that she can play Metroid Fusion on that someday.
I'm gonna just pop in and state that we do own our TV. Be just making callback to the CheckPoint show and trying to be funny.
Oh.
Yes, sorry I don't own a TV, but I might just turn on my TV and go do this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I just realized that might be confusing, and therefore I'm going to ruin the
TV come
joke
with your
by
house?
pointing it out.
Before shooting the episode, I was like, Beesh, you know you did this, right? He's like, yes, that is deliberate. I'm like, okay, great.
Paul, everything I do is deliberate.
Oh, you're gonna hang out with me too long.
That is a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I fuck up by accident.
I don't need I don't need your TV setup. I was part of the ambassador program. I have Fusion on my 3DS.
Yes, I was asked why don't I just boot up Metroid Fusion on the Wii U, because I already own Metroid Fusion on Game Boy Advance. I'm not paying another bunch of money so I can do it on the Wii U.
Sorry, that sound was expressing my excitement for ActRaiser.
Now, I was saying to Heather, I really love ActRaiser, but my frustration with ActRaiser was always that you play the 2D part, and it's just long enough to feel like I really enjoyed doing that, and then it takes you out of that so you can play the world building part, which is again a thing that I really enjoy. But it's hard locked, because once you finish building out in World 1, you go fight the boss 2D wise. You go fight the boss in World 1, and then when you're done, it's like World 1 complete, and then you move over to another part of the map, and now you're doing World 2. There's no opportunity to go back and do anything else with World 1. And that was always a disappointment to me, because I'm like, but I was just SimCitying myself around in here, and I want to be able to make more changes and help things grow and do other shit, but it's like you don't get to do that. You have to follow the path of the game, and that's my only complaint with ActRaiser, is that they didn't let you go back and like, oh, you missed getting the hidden one up in the mountain lake in world whatever it was, because you didn't go rain on the mountain lake and make the one up appear. Well, get fucked, because you missed your opportunity to get that. It's like, oh, I hate this kind of thing. But
I want. Yeah,
the level start thing in ActRaiser is still, I think, one of the most effective uses of Mode 7
yes,
I've ever seen. It blew my mind when I was a kid, and I still think it looks great.
Sure does.
Anyway.
On the note of Bayonetta 3, because I don't care about Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Huge surprise there. At the beginning of the commercial they showed for her, I swear this is meant to be said towards the audience. She said she was unfashionably late, but she'll be worth every moment or whatever thing. And it came to me, it felt like a Travis touchdown thing to do.
Yeah.
Which again, not a series I play, but I want the two of them to interact now.
Fourth wall breaking happens in Bayonetta too. Bayonetta as well. I'm probably in both Bayonettas.
Probably. I was like, I want you and Travis Touchdown to like sit down at a coffee shop and
just hang out
and I don't know, talk or something. Not fight. I generally don't want my fantasy setting characters to go fighting each other, because I don't care about that argument. But I'd like them to go sit down at a coffee shop and swap tips.
Yeah. And make it look like they're talking to each other, but they're really just talking to the audience.
The entire time. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's go on and talk about some of the things that we did talk about in CheckPoint. We can go through the stories that we actually did in CheckPoint pretty quick here.
Before we do the story, I'd like to talk about the intro bit. because I've already had a couple of people ask if we're moving and we're not.
Yes.
I for some reason everybody knows that Paul did not sell Graham and Bija's houses to each other.
Yeah, I
They
kind of
figured
thought
that one out.
I kind of thought that was going to be the thing that's like, oh, this is a bit, but
Well, but-
apparently,
Though there's
But-
the what parts of the bit are truth and what parts are lies.
Yeah. Graham is actually moving. Graham and Kathleen are actually moving. So there's like,
But Beach and I are not.
No.
So
No.
please do not give me the horror flashbacks of having to move again.
yeah.
so yes, there is a kernel of truth, but most of it is a lie. All right. So yeah, Quantic Dream is going to be doing a Star Wars game. To be honest, we don't know anything about it. Just that Quantic Dream is doing a Star Wars game, and apparently it's going to be less quick-timey than the regular one.
Yeah.
The two things that I enjoyed about this, both graphical things. One, Google Docs auto-corrected QuickTime to capital Q, capital T, intercaps QuickTime, which inspired me to put the little QuickTime logo on the image, which
Yeah.
I greatly enjoyed, and I appreciate
Very
that
good.
some people in the comments got that.
If you're ever wondering, Paul does all the graphics, and you will very rarely see either Graham or I or anybody else do a graphic for CheckPoint.
Yeah.
Heather, I think, has done something before, but
Occasionally I submit in things.
yeah,
And-
you typically submit in something if you're like, this is really hard to find,
I
but
need
I
this
know where it
specific
is,
Yeah.
thing.
and
Yeah.
I'll give it to Paul.
Often Beej will like find, if he's talking about very specific things, like a specific meme about a game that I don't know,
Yeah.
he'll give me that image, because otherwise I'm like, I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
It's being nice to Paul, which
Yeah.
I have as a reminder in some places. It's just like, being nice to Paul.
Yeah.
He does a lot, and we want him to be happy.
Yeah, but by and large, any visual gag or any graphic that shows up in CheckPoint, 99.9% of the time, it's always going to be Paul.
The other thing so what's fun about doing one of the fun things about doing graphics for these is you will often be doing obviously like a story that lots of other people are doing as well. Because that's where we're getting our stories. We get our stories from Polygon, whatever. And so, when I'm doing a story about Quantic Dream, I'll be like, okay, we'll start with a Quantic Dream, I'll start with like a Quantic Dream logo, put some Star Wars stuff. But I do like to check. So if you do a Google image search for Quantic Dream Star Wars, and it's amazing to see the grid of, because everybody is doing a story on like anything that is anybody who's peripherally related to video game news is doing a story on this. They all have to have a banner image for the story, and everybody has come up with either a picture of Detroit Become Human, like split screened with something from Star Wars, or something from Detroit Become Human, but they've like arted in lightsabers.
Yeah,
There are so many variations of that like exact same picture. It's amazing.
yeah. It's not like somebody said, what we'll do is we'll use the front image to Detroit Become Human and like art C-3PO's face it on top of the android who speaks in the main menu. It's like, no, nobody does that. It's just like, oh wait, just give an android a lightsaber. And it's like,
So like a lot of these places have a quota of how many articles they got to get out.
Right, yeah.
And if you're the person who's like, I doubt they make the journalists go get the assets themselves. I'm sure there's somebody else who's maybe in charge of that. But like, if you have a bunch of articles that are due to go up, and you're like, we have to have this many graphic sets,
mhm.
you are going to go for the fastest thing you can find most of the time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's you also later on, we did the thing about we follow up on the Epic Apple thing. When that story first broke, the representation of Epic logo, Apple logo with either like verses or boxing gloves or
Yeah.
in a like wrestling ring, like everybody had kind of like locked in on the the like way to independently arrived at the way to show that image.
Yeah.
I just find very amusing the trends in
Yeah, and I feel like that
article
one
images.
is something someone puts a little bit more effort into making because they know there's going to be several articles they end up doing about that topic.
Mm.
So once you make one graphic, you've got like your graphic set for the next 20 articles.
Yeah. I'm sure nobody's gone back and changed one because they're like, oh, I like this graphic I made
no,
better. But
no,
yeah.
no, you move on.
Yeah.
Boop 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 boop. King is going to be doing a Candy Crush Saga All Stars competition.
U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So presumably there might be other international competitions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I'm sure that when they do call it Candy Crush All Stars International, they will go out and sue the international for using international as part of their gaming contest.
and to be clear, this is Candy Crush Saga All Stars because there's like 30 different Candy Crush games.
Yeah, like they're calling it Candy Crush All Stars US, I think, in the title of the thing, but it is only for Candy Crush Saga. Is how it's been told to me.
Yeah, I think so.
Through
Yeah, and it's being commentated by Khloe Kardashian, which I love. Like, if you've ever watched any coverage of esports stuff, I would just so much love to see like Khloe Kardashian like with like the headset on behind the desk being and using like all it's like, oh, they're gonna have to be going in for what kind of candy they're going to be going for in this thing, using like really specific terminology for like hardcore Candy Crush players.
I want her to get like Olympic speed skating deep. Like I want her to be like that she had to bone up the night before on everyone's names and styles and all the shit they does, but she's like, I know this thing backwards and forwards now.
You're right. This is basically like a story that we would have done as a crap shot if we thought of it.
Yeah.
Esports Candy Crush.
But
I did really appreciate your line about the kinds of gamers who think teabagging involves actual teabags, because I was like, oh man, what if teabagging was just about making tea and gaming? Oh, that would be nice.
We workshopped that line. It's actually part of the reason why it took us so long to record CheckPoint is that I read the line and we Paul specifically, actually, you said is like the way you originally wrote this actually sounds a little dismissive of gamers who play like a casual game, right? That it's like doesn't stop them from being gamers. But you make it sound like you're kind of dismissing them, and it's like, oh yeah, the read on that is right. It does sound like I'm just kind of being like, but they're not real gamers kind of thing. It's like that's not what the message we want to send. So we went over it and we're like, actually, it would be great if we just all really thought that teabagging was something that involved teabags, because wouldn't that be nicer world
gentle.
to live in?
Yeah. I mean, it would be awesome if the esports culture of Candy Crush is like super wholesome.
Just very grandmas and doilies. Like that's what I want it to be.
I won. But here's a cup of tea,
right?
To get through that loss.
I don't want to stereotype Candy Crush players, but the sort of meme is, tend to be older, more sort of people who have a lot of other stuff that they're doing with their lives. They're not specifically doing esports stuff.
I've played a Candy Crush. I will be glad to not play that game again. It definitely gets harder and very microtransaction-y. Or at least it did when I played it.
I love Earth and One saying, imagine the crowd counting along with the credit card entry numbers. And they're just kind of like, and they're just like, 4, 7, 2, 5. Like you do it at a wrestling thing when somebody's like feeding the dude shots.
Yeah, like I don't know how pay to win Candy Crush is, but having a tournament for a game that has like pay to win microtransactions in it seems a little odd.
I think if I remember right, it's one of those things where it's like it's either energy or you pay for like items that let you do more things.
Because it's stage-based,
that's generally how match games work.
Yeah,
or
you're
like
paying to.
to like you pay to like undo your last move if you messed it up or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But
Yeah, I think there's an item. It's generally like you buy specific things and items that you can hit.
I'll be talking about loadouts. That'll be good.
yeah. What's your the load anyway? I to be honest, I'm kind of curious. Like as you know, as we've talked about actually on CheckPoint with like the Olympics or whatever, right? Watching people play a game, even even in the like in the Olympics, but also like in the esports level, watching people play a game at the very highest level can actually be like super entertaining, even if you aren't into that game. I
Yeah.
watched an analysis of a Tetris game on that. There was apparently this like super come from behind win, and it was just bonkers. Like at that high level in Tetris, they have literally fractions of a second to be making their choices and putting their blocks and stuff, and the inputs to the game are measured in hertz, as in number of times you're pushing a button a second. And it's like, oh, this is a 25 hertz move here. This is going to be really tough.
Yeah. Which is funny to think about the fact that like that's PAL refresh is 25 hertz, right? Because like 2996 is NTSC refresh. So it's funny to think that it's like the amount of 24 frames a second is cinematic frame rates. Somebody's actually moving slightly faster than how many frames it is to denote motion.
And then yeah, there's a story about the aforementioned Epic Apple stuff, which we've talked about before last week. Is sort of or previous weeks that you know
The lawsuits, the
yeah,
arguments.
the lawsuit came out. It kind of could go either way depending on who you think won. But the funny thing about this is this idea that it's like after all that, Epic is like, okay. We'll go back. We'll do the thing. We'll go back into the store, and then we'll just do it normally.
And we'll wait for the alternative payment methods
Yeah.
thing to happen, and it'll be fine.
And Apple's like, no, you got kicked out. You're not allowed in the App Store anymore.
Yeah.
We're still allowed to do. It's like we're still allowed to do that.
It got ruled that we were in the right for doing that, and furthermore, we're not going to let you back in until the appeals can't be appealed anymore.
And we have all sorts of now we have all sorts of like legal evidence of you acting in bad faith. We've banned people from the App Store for way less than what you guys did.
Yeah. And it's funny too because it's like even just looking at it through the lens of because looking at it through the lens of payback's a bitch, it's real funny. But looking at it through the lens of the appealable process, right? That it's like both companies are already taking this to appeals.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because there is multiple suits going on here, but both companies are taking it to appeals, and the idea of hey, so yeah, boy, that was sure a thing, wasn't it? Well, let us back on your store in the meantime. And it's like, well, no, because if we go to appeals and some decision is reversed or some other thing is decided, then you might be able to get away with whatever had happened, either side, but everything has gone back to normal in the meantime, or the decision might be reversed for another reason. Like there's all these things. It's like like a legal certainty was made, and then there's a thing to say, but we want to make it a legal uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen over the next however many years, and so it's like at this point, it's like, yeah, it actually makes good legal sense to say, look, this hasn't been decided because the appeals are starting, so we don't know what's going to happen, so we have to tread more carefully. And I think that, like, from a legal standpoint, like, that is actually a really good standpoint, because you don't want to say, well, okay, we'll just let everything go on as it was. Oh, wait, no, the decision has been changed or reversed or all these other things have happened. Oh, no, now what do we do that we've let everything, we've gone back to doing whatever we were doing before?
Yeah, I mean it's quite the when you think about it, wasn't very long ago that Epic was right up there on stage, for like we're talking about how great the iOS and the new iPhone is, for their games, right? Like
Yeah.
they were
Hmm.
one of
Hmm.
the big, like the Unreal Engine and Epic Games was one of like the big things that they used to show off the 3D capabilities of the iPhone back in the day.
Now, my understanding from I was doing some reading about this is that Epic's Fortnite account was what was pulled. Whatever they were using to get Fortnite onto the App Store, that was pulled, and they can't do anything with that anymore. They can't put things in the store from that perspective. But the any of the development work with Unreal Engine is still stuff that you're allowed to put through, because there was a decision made
I
in
mean,
one of
there's
the
tons of
there was a,
games are made with Unreal Engine that are unrelated to Epic, right?
exactly, and there was a thing, I think the judge had even said to Apple, that's like, you can't ban the engine from the store because that has all these knock-on effects or whatever. It's like, that's not what created the problem here, so you can't just say no, that this engine's not allowed. So that's kind of always been a thing that's
And
been going on. But Rocket League is still on the App Store,
oh,
and
really?
that's technically owned by Epic. And there's a few games that are owned by Epic that are still on the App Store, and they're still making money, and they're still making stuff happen. I know that Psyonix made Rocket League, but I believe they're owned by Epic now. Is that not how that works?
I believe
I
so. Yes.
Yeah. So
It might not be considered the Epic's developer account though.
yeah, even though it's like that studio belongs to Epic now, but it's like that's not the Epic Studio developer account. So
I
Yeah.
yeah,
I bet, man, I bet Epic's legal team is like, will you just shut up and stop tweeting about stuff? Like,
So
say
yeah.
say what you will about Apple, they know when to shut up about stuff.
Yeah.
Like
That's the thing I think's really funny is when this whole thing started, right? Epic made a very specific decision to essentially kick the beehive and then take everything to court, and then had like their big advertising campaign to try to get to mobilize their fan base and everything. And they and everybody knew the moment it happened that they must have like done this months in advance, because there's no way that that kind of video can come out that quickly without that much prep, right?
yeah.
And of course they showed that over the proceedings that Epic was like, oh, okay, well this was our pro con list of what we thought would happen, and everything, and here's like our high, this is what we want to happen, but here's what we think will make like medium happen, and then like here's our worst case scenario. And I feel like even in their worst case scenario, they did not expect that at the end of all this that Apple would be like, no, we're not letting you back onto the store. And it feels like you can see that in the immediate tweet of like, I didn't have anything planned, you lied.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a very kind of reaction based process here.
yeah, I feel like we are now past the point where Epic had like planned this all. Like I feel like there isn't some internal spreadsheet some internal document where they were like, okay, so what we do is we have Tim Sweeney
Yeah.
put out a tweet about, like, I feel like they're shooting from the hip these days. It's less very
Yeah.
tightly planned than maybe previous.
Yeah,
And
I feel like if they thought that this would be an outcome that would have happened at all, they might have had some kind of planned response.
Yeah. There's a larger thing to look at here too, in that saying that Epic has the right to be on that platform, has the right to be on the iOS platform. Like if you were to say that, well, Fortnite has a right to be on that platform, why? Because does that mean that regardless of anything, they have a right to be on every platform because they decided they want to be there? Does that mean that every developer has the right to be on every platform because they decide they have the right to be there?
Right. The precedent of you can't kick people off your platform is a very dangerous one.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm trying to say that like, well, then they're not allowed to do it. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's very this is a very fraught decision, and that's also has to do with the idea of like offering alternative app stores to different platforms. Is that's also a very fraught decision. There's a lot of if you make a legislatively or lobbyist-backed decision in either direction, without considering the technical ramifications of that for a larger business, that's going to have knock-on effects for companies that are not involved in this fight. If you were to say that, this is the larger thing of like Epic saying, well, we want an alternative app store available on Apple's iOS platform. And then the government says, well, yes, we agree. So we're forcing them to do that. It's like, cool. We're now going to go sue Google over Android, Nintendo over the eShop, Xbox over the Xbox Marketplace, and Sony over whatever the hell PlayStation 5 uses for their
I think it's just called the PlayStation Store.
The PlayStation Store. And it's like, once you start down this path, there's a lot of knock-on effects for these things. You're like, well, and you might take that maybe you take that point of view that's like, well, wouldn't that be good for everybody? I'm like, I don't know. Would it be good for everybody? We don't know what the effects of that will be. We don't know who has to pay attention to that kind of thing, or what technical decisions that need to be made. And what if somebody who runs an alternate app store doesn't give a shit about your platform security? They're just interested in making money for themselves. There's a lot of questions involved in that. And there's a lot of assumptions we took on to ourselves to be like, we're okay with this being this way. And should we be okay being this way?
Like, because there's a lot of things about like, Apple has a walled garden and whatnot, and Android will let you sideload some stuff.
Yeah.
That's also how a lot of people have gotten malware on their phones, or pirated things on their phones, which, isn't piracy argument aside.
Yeah.
Is that a thing you really want to be happening?
And I mean, I have my opinions on where I land on that, but I think the larger issue is interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of a philosophical issue in a lot of ways. It's sort of a fundamental idea of the control of the platform. And speaking of platforms that are in control, Pokemon card game is getting a new platform.
Yes.
It's going to go from the Pokemon trading card game online to Pokemon trading card game live. It's still online though, presumably.
Yeah.
It
looks good.
I am amused that it's such like a, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s thing with like, look, the logo is all metal and it has electricity on it now. Yeah. It's like a very old school kind of like, and it's on a skateboard. Look at Pikachu. He's super cool.
It's extreme, but we arranged all the letters, so there's still 3 E's in it.
I would recommend that if you do have Pokemon Online and you're going to go over to Pokemon Live to read the FAQ, the summary that Beej gave
suited a CheckPoint story,
because technically not everything transfers over. There's like a couple of card sets that won't. There's limitations to how many of your cards that do.
The Happy Meal cards won't show up in the game.
I think that was just I don't think they were.
They were never going to be able. They don't even show up in online.
They weren't in online. I think that was just there because people were asking.
Okay.
But things like that. You're gonna want to read that FAQ. Because my understanding is the idea is they plan to take online down just prior to live going up, because they want people to transfer over. It reminds me a lot of like what people thought might happen with Mitgo when Arena was starting up. Was like the whole like, well, will they keep both? Will they transfer over?
It is a ballsy move to do the hard chop rather than to be honest, we don't even know what like Wizards of the Coast's plan for Magic. Intellectually we know that they're probably not going to want to maintain 2 completely separate games forever, but who knows? We don't know what their actual plan for it is. But being able to just cutting one and starting the new one is a tough move, but
I do have to say good for the Pokemon company though for saying that it's like we are making a decision, we're moving forward with this, and we're doing, and it does seem to me that based on what I read in the FAQ, I'm like, it does seem to me like they're doing their level best to ensure that anything that you had digitally before will be represented in some form in the new game. We're gonna
anything that was like card based, because I think when they said avatars and stuff like that don't move over, I'm like, yeah, they probably have changed the avatar system completely
Yeah.
or something, so they
Mm.
don't have an equivalent for that. Or the one thing I did like was like most of your cards will move over with like some exceptions. Not all of them will be playable at the until like more updates happen, and they're like, oh, okay, so this is it's that startup awkward phase where you're like, okay, we've got a functional thing and it plays the new stuff because that's the focus.
Yep.
And we'll get to the old stuff eventually. I
It's-
have so much programming work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know much about Pokemon, but I'm assuming if it's anything like Magic, there's like a whole ton of like weird ass mechanics from previous sets that they're like, how are we gonna implement this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple updates on the whole Activision Blizzard thing. The biggest of which is, so there's a couple people who have continued to leave the ship or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Abandoned-
Overwatch lost another head developer.
Abandoned ship because they're like, I feel like some of this is like, my contract's up. I don't want to deal with this crap. I'm out of here. And some of it might be, I see what's coming and I want to leave. Like, who knows how much of that, or whether it's just like, or maybe it's just a coincidence. That is also theoretically possible.
Yeah, Claire Hart, who's Blizzard's chief legal officer, not the Activision Blizzard chief legal officer. So I think she only worked for that side of the company. Her deciding to leave, that's kind of
that does not bode well. Yeah.
What does that mean? So yeah.
My favorite thing. So somebody emailed me this article. Lirazel64. I don't know if you're in chat, but thank you for emailing me some info on this. But part of the thing that emailed me was this great quote, which I love. It's saying when it's talking about the SEC getting involved in this, and the general wisdom is everything is securities fraud. It's that any crime that a company can be accused of is also securities fraud, because if you're accused of a crime, your stock is going to go down, and you should have informed your shareholders that you're doing this crime.
Yeah. And while that doesn't make sense on the face of it that you would tell anyone you're performing crime, from a securities trading standpoint, you're supposed to disclose it. It's like
it is a piece of information. Yeah, it's weird, the idea that if you had told people that you were doing something, reprehensible, you would actually be safe from that aspect of it.
It's like how that whole thing where they say it's like how we got Al Capone for tax evasion. It's kind of like, it is that idea of if Al Capone had just filed taxes saying I made this much in income in doing some
they wouldn't have gotten him for tax evasion. No,
they would have
had a paper trail for other things.
Exactly, would have known. Well, here's where all this money is coming from. But it's like, they wouldn't have got you for tax evasion at that point.
So it's so the interesting, because of course we talked about, because there was a class action lawsuit in California as well and that's the difference here, right? Is that the idea that like a bunch of shareholders are getting together to do a class action lawsuit against the company for something like this is pretty common. That the SEC is getting involved is sort of ramps it up to another notch in terms of kind of, waking the sleeping beast, or whatever you want to call it.
It's funny too, right? Because more recently, the idea of a federal versus a state crime was something that was drawn into a larger focus for me in watching the news and watching stuff that happens. And there's that sense of like, you might have something happening at the state level, and you commit a crime at the state level, but the country by and large doesn't there's nothing about the United States of America would say we have a problem with this. It's like, no, the state of California says we're the ones who have a problem with this because of what rules it breaks in X regards. But then when you go to the federal thing, it's like there's a whole brand new bunch of crimes that you can commit that go against the country.
Did you know that if you wanted to commit crimes, there's several tiered levels
Yeah.
which you can commit crimes at?
Yeah, and
You
it's
can
and
do
it's like
some simultaneously. You can work at
Yeah.
multiple levels simultaneously.
and while it's like the SEC could have looked at some of these crimes and been like, oh, like somebody at the SEC might be like, oh, what a terrible way to act and what a shitty thing they're doing at the state level doesn't bother me whatsoever. And then all of a sudden they take a look, they're like, wait a second, this breaks a federal law. Now I have to be interested in this, and now we have. You don't just pile all that shit together in one courtroom. It's like, no, you're going to have your stuff that's going on at the state level, and now we're going to have some stuff going on at the federal courthouse, which is maybe right across the street. You got two things you got to worry about now.
Yeah, it's like getting multiple achievements in your video game at the same time.
Yeah, and I
You
thought
gotta juggle them.
like murder is that a federal crime? It's like, no, I think murder is actually like
it's a
state crimes.
It's a state level.
It's the thing where it's like, did the governor call to get me off? It's like, if the governor's, it's not the president can't pardon you from committing murder. Only the governor can, right? So
The also from a graphics perspective, amusingly, I was tempted to when it talks about the SEC, because the first thing or one of the first things that comes up when you've searched for SEC logo on Google is the Southeastern Conference, like sports,
yes,
collegial sports organization. Which has a better logo than the actual SEC.
yeah.
But
We keep this up. Graham can do a special episode about the different legal logos.
Yeah, all the different federal agency logos, which are basically just all interchangeable.
it's just like an eagle holding different things. And then there's this in the outro we talked about Diablo 2 coming out. It's not
Which
news,
I heard
but-
was a bit of a rough go for some people.
Yeah.
apparently the servers weren't I don't know if they're fixed now, but the servers weren't doing so good in terms of online stuff, and because it's a new game, you can't
So we
not play online.
We can't confirm it, but of course maybe there are suspicions that Blizzard IT just left the job as well.
That's.
I believe one of
I feel like we'd know. I'd feel
one,
like we'd know.
one
Yeah.
of their head IT people has left, actually.
Okay.
Probably not related, because presumably, like, the guy, like, there's a lot of people involved in IT, so it's probably not related. Still kind of funny. Also, the talking about how it making people flashback to 2003, which is, it's always nice, of course, to see in the YouTube comments people being like, I was born in 2003.
You sure were.
I prefer the ones that were like, yes, I get those school assignment flashbacks too.
And people might be like, man, Beej is old. It's like, yeah, but you know what Beej isn't? Beej isn't dead. I'd rather be old than dead.
But what could be dead is the coming up.
It's true.
Oh God.
Yeah, because Bungie is gonna be producing a fashion magazine, digital magazine, but still called Threads of Light, which is amazing. I don't know, just the idea that it, like, I hope that I have this vision in my mind. Like, I hope they do a full on, like, they get like the somebody who actually like edits a fashion magazine to like do big like spreads,
Right?
Oh, and like the covers that you see for fashion magazines.
yeah
It would be
Just,
great.
like get like Anna Wintour to do like a special
Yeah.
thing in it.
It's to showcase off creative outfits from Destiny 2's community, which is really weird to me that they call that a fashion magazine then, because it's like you have expectations of what a fashion magazine is, and it's not like video games haven't done this kind of thing before where they're like, oh, there's some user generated content, we'll show it off with some like fun picture things, or we'll do
It's the Nintendo
do-
letters thing
but
in
it's-
Nintendo Power.
yeah.
But it's like it's not even like it's user generated content, but it's not even like user generated. It's just like there's not that many. Like, it's just like, what of the choices are you putting together, right? It's not like
Yeah.
people are designing new outfits. You can't actually
Yeah.
like
I mean,
make
this
new
is the
outfits. It's what combination of the pre-existing things are you using.
this is the real reason on why they can't make this a print fashion magazine. Not because
Yeah.
print media is dying, but because they would have so few pages.
Yeah.
Although I would love it. I'd love to see a print version of this where it's like, here's your top 10 tips to make your Destiny 2 face covered in specific ways.
I gotta say though, like the little clip I used during the outro is from a YouTube video from a guy who this is apparently what he's been doing is it was like an hour-long YouTube video of like Destiny fashions for you know, second quarter 2021.
Yeah.
And it was like an hour long and like showing off different things. And there's like the big chunk at the end where there was like submitted fashions from like his Discord that he was showing off stuff. And this guy had a lot of videos.
Are your
So,
shaders
like,
hot
it's
or
a
not?
thing. Yeah.
So
I just think it would be fun to read the articles in a magazine like this.
if it's a digital fashion mag, that means that you can. It's not. Hopefully, it's not just a PDF. Which means I hope that what it means is they're going to have like animations. Like you'll go to a website to read it, and you'll have animations of somebody like doing an emote or like doing a sweep.
that could be a lot of fun.
They're also being Destiny or being Bungie's the one who's producing this. They're going to have control over every model in the game already. So if they say, okay, here's the look that we like that somebody came up with.
Right, they can get them in poses that you wouldn't normally be able to do and stuff.
Exactly, right. You can have them stand in ways. You can have the control to make them do fashion poses or have them do like a runway walk or something else. It's like there's lots of stuff that they're going to have control over to do if they feel that there's value in producing it
that's
way.
the thing, right? It's like there's a lot of things they really could do that would be really cool, but is it worth doing? Like, is it worth sinking that time into doing when you're trying to make money? Like,
as a one-time thing, I think it'd be really cool. If they're going to do this every quarter, I think that would be kind of cool too. But man, I think at that point you hire people whose job it is to be like, okay, your job is to produce the fashion magazine. Because
like, presumably it doesn't overlap with the people who are like programming the game too much,
right? I mean, it'd be a good job for people who are like entry level to be like, your job is to work on this, and we want people who maybe, and you have your manager has a fashion sensibility anyway, or we hired somebody specifically to come. Because I love that idea of hire somebody who has the sensibility of how these magazines works, who also happens to like Destiny.
I want it to be laid out like a magazine. I don't want this to be a thing where they're calling it a magazine, but it's not laid out like one.
Yeah,
because it's just like
I want to feel like old school Escapist, where every article on the Escapist felt like it was a brand new layout and it was made for a spread. That felt really cool. I think about the original Escapist is that it was like, we're going to put the time in so that everything, it's not feeling like you're reading a website. It feels like you're reading the article itself, and then you move to a new article. It's a completely new layout and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing they've done, right? They said introduced, so clearly we just have to go look this up.
Yeah,
not right now, but if we go and look it up later today, we can find out if our hopes and dreams have been crushed real fast.
The devil wears Gallarhorn, or whatever. There's somebody who knows better about Destiny. There's a line. There's a joke there.
Yeah, there's a Prada kind of line there that would be great.
Anyway, all right. Let's talk about some other stuff that we didn't talk about during the actual episode of CheckPoint. The rabbits. So there's, in like Assassin's Creed, there's like the walk around modes where you can like walk around in the game without playing the game. There's the tour modes. So this is kind of like that. There's this thing that Ubisoft is doing for the Palace of Versailles. But instead of like you get to walk around the Palace of Versailles in the virtual world, this is actually a augmented reality experience at the Palace of Versailles.
Okay, so physically I have to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
With rabbits. So apparently it's like an augmented reality thing where like rabbits are running around the Palace of Versailles, and there's like a ton of like mini games to do where you're like, and then it like gives
eating
you
cake, I guess,
and it gives you like info about like different historical landmarks and stuff, and then you're also like playing mini games and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like, it's like augmented reality, so they're like, rabbits will like pop out of things and stuff. It's just it's like the weirdest like
Oh, good, they're wearing clothes.
Yeah.
combination of.
Oh my god, the
Yes.
Rabbids Revolt is a game.
To be clear, I'm saying rabbids, which
Yeah.
is the weird screaming rabbit-like things that have become an unofficial like Ubisoft mascot in some of their things, such as raving rabbids or Rabbids Kingdom, Mario and Rabbids
Yeah.
Kingdom Bash
Yeah.
or whatever.
I'm not totally hot on the rabbits. The design really throws me off.
Mm-hmm.
But like at least when it's like, oh, it's Rabbid Peach or what's her face, Luma Rabbid, Rosalina. I'm like, okay, I can get behind the personalities though. So if they want to like run me around the a museum, I'd be okay with that. But just a standard one.
We're gonna have like the Rabbids third estate that are all driven mad from syphilis. That'll be great. I can't wait to see that. Wait, no, they'd be the second estate. Anyway,
Yeah, they're so yeah, rabbits were sort of like minions before minions.
mm-hmm.
They were before minions, but they're sort of the same thing, where they're just like a generic kind of creature that they can dress in different outfits and do dumb things with.
Yeah, but they're a little more popular. Like, because you get that in a lot of designs. Among Us is kind of like that. My Little Pony. If you have the right character design, you can modify it a lot.
Yeah. Boop, 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 boop. There is a big update to The Sims 4 that is adding over 1,200 new, not new like items, but variants of existing items.
Oh, okay.
So basically, it's like now there's, there'll be like, a couch or whatever. Now there's like a ton of different, versions.
You can finally
of
get
that
into the
couch.
color you want or the fabric you want.
And apparently apparently Sims had that problem that you always have where with games like where it's like, I want to have everything like match, but then like the colors of wood of like the couch and the walls or whatever, like they're because the models were made at different times and whatever, they don't actually match each other. And it infuriates people.
But yeah, now you have this whole IKEA showroom experience.
Yeah.
That which wait, hang on a second. Is there actual IKEA furniture in The Sims 4?
There might be in terms of like DLC, or I'm pretty sure Sims 4 is something that people can make content for or have modded
Okay.
things for.
Just kind of seemed
Never
like
got that
a
deep.
pretty good match if you wanted that kind of like Scandinavian modern look. But yeah,
And there's a bunch of also, so including furniture, there's also but in addition to furniture, there's also a ton of new stuff for gardening. So new things for grasses and plants and things. 64 window variations have been updated with different variations and things.
wow.
So yeah, I feel somebody's been. I feel like somebody at The Sims was just like, why don't we just palette swap all of these things?
Yeah.
I mean,
Why is that already not a thing?
Why can't you just let people choose whatever?
Do this.
The way we talk about this update, if anyone had just entered in the middle and missed the game we were talking about, such as Adam's Raid,
Who loves The Sims? Adam loves The Sims.
you could almost confuse it for an Animal Crossing update. All your furniture comes in like so many more things now, and there's so many more gardening tools.
Yeah, and they're doing a crossover with IKEA. It's like, I can totally believe Animal Crossing doing a crossover with IKEA.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Does Animal Crossing have that problem where like there's some pieces of furniture that just like don't match with each other
Yes.
in a really frustrating way.
Well, what Animal Crossing is the problem of is that on your island you get one collection. So if you have the rattan, if you have the rattan set, everything rattan on your island will all be white. That's what you can buy from your store. You'll always find the white rattan stuff. But things will show up in balloons. You might get a rattan drop from a balloon, or a wardrobe from a balloon that's not white. It's natural or dark brown, and you might go see red, and red will have other colorways from different islands as well.
But
So
you
he
only
might
get
have
that one thing in that color.
right, and so it's like in order to get the rest of those colors, you can't use the customization process to customize that. You have to you'll have to go find an island that has those colors.
Another person's island. It's part of what makes the different islands slightly unique is that people will have specific colorways. But if you're like one of those, I have to collect every piece of furniture and 100% everything kind of players, it means you need to go find people who have them.
Yeah. It's really frustrating in a lot of ways. And also, Square.Q points out Animal Crossing also has a distinct lack of kitchen cabinets.
I would really like it to have some cabinets I can put separately up on the wall and like choose what kind of thing I want underneath and not have them necessarily set together.
I mean, this you hear this about, we're talking about The Sims. You hear this about The Sims too, as well. Like people will be like, why? Like it's great. Like in the world, the gaming world, where I think people can be, super devoted and like obsessed and sort of salty about something being not the way it's supposed to be. The things that people who are, when you're doing these games where you're designing buildings and designing your space, and it's like, why is there only one type of vase?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And it's just like, as opposed to whatever the monetization system for this is wrong, or the or the this character needs to be nerfed or something. It's just like this whole other axis of things to be angry about in a video game that I
also
quite
if
enjoy.
we get the roost, we're gonna get like different coffee items.
That's true. Yeah, that'll be fun. The thing that I would assume you could have done with The Sims, because it's on PC and so it's more powerful, I would have assumed you would have gotten like, I have a vase, but I don't want it to be this big, so I want to either have the small vase, right? Small vase, medium vase, or large floor standing vase, right? Like give you an option to be like, what size do you want this to be? It's like, well, I want it to be on a counter, I want it to be on an end table, I want it to be like, or I want it to be a floor standing whatever. Because it'd be just really fun to go over to people's houses where they have like 6-foot vases in their house.
All right, so this is so.
Sorry.
Here's a story about something that is very long time in coming, which I guess could be sort of related to the Sims 4 one. So if you've got a one of the new Xbox things, you've had an account for a long time. You've gone through a couple of different console generations with this one account, and every console generation things update and stuff. But apparently, people have a lot of fondness for the avatars that they could generate with the original Xbox 360. The original Xbox 360 had sort of an avatar maker thing, like Mii's or whatever, but just their own system. And you could take like snapshots of them and then use that as your little avatar picture. And so you could like catch your avatar doing something interesting and take a snapshot of it.
Okay.
When they moved to the Xbox One and then Xbox Series X and stuff, they didn't really keep that thing going forward. I think there might be still some version of avatars, but you can't have them as your little gamer pick anymore.
And the gamer pick was the hard thing, because that's the thing that people wanted to keep going on and on and on.
Until now, if you are in the alpha, the alpha skip ahead insiders, which I feel
That's
like
a-
that's like there's like several
It's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
separate steps there.
That was named by committee.
So the problem they ran into is, or one of the things that happens is that because of the original Xbox 360, the UI was made for TVs at the time, was relatively low resolution. And then as time has gone on, if you tried to keep an older avatar picture, it would get smaller and smaller because it would stay the same resolution,
Yeah.
but everything else would get higher resolution. And so relative to the size of the space where your little avatar picture was going to go, your avatar would get smaller and smaller and smaller. And somebody complained about this to Microsoft, and they're like, that's actually that's a good point. We're going to fix this. And so now they're going to make it so you can go back and get your avatar from your Xbox 360 when you select your avatar. In addition, when you want to select your avatar for your account, in addition to like all the built-in avatars that you can use. Apparently, if you have had a Xbox account since the 360 days, at the top of the list will be the last avatar that you had in your 360 account. And apparently you can go back and boot up your 360 and rechange your avatar and then go back over to your Xbox
Oh, wow.
Series
That's cool.
X and get that new one if you really want to.
It's such a minor thing, but in a lot of ways, it's like profile pictures are the representation you come up with for yourself, so people get
Yeah.
to know you, and it's like that's really that is important.
I mean, even if you change it, a lot of like Throwback Thursday is a thing and stuff, and people like to go swap back to older avatars sometimes, and
Yeah,
it can be a fun thing to do, right? Like,
I'm just having flashes of Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused, where it's like, you know what I love about the Xbox is the resolutions get bigger and bigger, but the pics stay the same size.
So that's a weird thing to like about it.
Right?
Let's see what else is going on here. You want a teeny Game Boy?
Oh, Christ. Oh,
Cute
no.
thing.
no,
Can you get the picture on screen for this?
Yeah.
Because it's
let
hard
me-
to describe otherwise.
it's too small. This
So
thing works though, right?
Yeah.
it's not. Technically it's not actually a Game Boy. It doesn't have the full. It's not like a full Game Boy emulator, but it has a bunch of games on it. Hey, we're back.
Hey.
Probably.
Yeah,
I hope
that
we're
tiny
back.
Game Boy really
I'm gonna,
really took it out of it, huh?
gonna try to.
So too
But-
too small for camera.
I'm gonna try to put the tiny Game Boy in again.
All right.
Let's see if this crashes again, then I don't know what the heck is happening with this tiny Game Boy. Okay. Apparently it doesn't want me to show you the tiny Game Boy.
Too secret, too powerful.
It fine.
Anyway, I put the link in the chat there. It's called
Thumby.
Thumby. Apparently it was originally called like Thumb Boy, but they make sure they're gonna stay away from any copyrighty stuff. It is super wee. It's
Yeah.
it's like this big. It's like
It's like this.
Yeah, it's so little. And I'm sure that it's like you can play it. Good luck. 'Cause
I wouldn't.
the controls are so tiny that I'm actually not sure how you get a good handle on playing anything fast enough.
If
but-
you think the 3DS or the DES are too small for your hands, or the Joy-Cons are too small for your hands, this is not going to fix that for you.
yeah, it's basically a key fob. Yeah.
What I don't get about it is that they're saying that it's using a Raspberry Pi. And I'm like, how? As a dongle? Like, what do you hang this
Can't
thing
be.
off of? Yeah, I'm like, there's no way it uses, because I'm like, I don't think they make I don't think that they make
Raspberry-
even
Pi, yeah,
Even the 0 isn't like small enough. I'm like, do they make a component that's even smaller? Like,
yeah. Anyway, it is very, very silly.
yeah.
And then we didn't even have that many stories to do more because there's just one more story.
I want to point out that the article says because it uses a Pi, this thing would be open to modding, and I'm like, I good luck.
Yeah, Tiny Circuit says you'll be able to make your own games to play on it.
I mean, that makes sense. Oh, they're using the like chip from a Raspberry Pi, not the actual board.
Ah, okay.
Because yeah, I was like the boards for Raspberry Pis are way too big for that.
Yeah, they're the size of a credit card. There's no way. Like, this is the size of a SIM card. Like, really.
So in the continuing, we were talking about like what are they going to release for the last thing guy for Smash? The Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl has been doing a great job of continuing, like keeping the hype about their game by slowly releasing the characters and things. And we already know that the Turtles are going to be in it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are going to be in it. But now they've announced that April O'Neil is going to be a character in it, which is great. It is, however, she is like, and nothing against April O'Neil, but in a show in which almost every character is like a hand-to-hand fighting person, she's like the only one who isn't. So it seems an odd choice for like a fighting game, but I see that, she is one of the major characters in it, so they wanted to get her in. But there are a lot of characters in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that are ninjas that would be good to have also, I'm just saying. But what's cool about, so she's a reporter, and so all her abilities are like reporter abilities.
And all the kicks.
Cameras.
Yeah, so they're like all
like
related.
A boom mic at one point.
Yeah, she like her attack is she like has a microphone and she goes like and shoves it in their face and punches them with it.
It kind of because like the microphone, I'm like sure because it's the thing you hold, but like the actual camera and the boom mic, it kind of feels like well, you work at a news place that's on a budget, so you have to also be your own tech crew. Please also do not break all of our equipment. We will charge you for it.
She's got that classic, like one of her strongs is the classic boom dip where you just do what I like to do, just shove the boom in people's faces. So
yeah, something in which has never ever happened in Loading Ready Run videos, because of our very professional boom operation personnel.
I can't see in 3D, so in order to tell how close I am to somebody's face, I literally have to put it on their face.
I mean, there's
so
that,
I can back it off a bit and push it up.
But on a boom dip, you're not the one who manages whether or not the boom is in camera.
No.
Even though you are, somebody who looks at the lens has to tell you.
Yeah.
You can't see their screen where you stand
No.
for most of the time.
I have to wait for them to say you're clear a shot, and it's like, there we go. But I don't know if I'm close enough, so I have to get real close.
And she also, like, her heavy attacks, she, like, brings in, like, a full-size studio camera that just, like, out of nowhere, just, like, and then, like, shine, and then she, like, hits them with light coming from the camera, I guess. I don't know.
Which is exactly how cameras work.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, with all of these games, the actual mechanics of what is happening in the game doesn't actually have that much basis in the characters or whatever. It's just sort of for style.
I like her up special where she grabs onto the turtle's blimp.
Oh yeah. And floats, she just grabs on the blimp and like floats around.
Yeah.
And then and she can by like filming people by like using the camera and different things, she accumulates like ratings points, which she can then like use to do a more powerful like super attack.
No, wait, this is perfect. If you're a fighter, and assumingly this is being televised from this one angle,
yeah,
but you're the one who has control over your own special angle, your ratings are probably higher in some ways because people are going to want to see what your camera angle looks like, even though it's going to be a lot of
Right?
that.
Uh, So yeah, it's she does she isn't a martial arts expert, but we wanted to give her all sorts of retro recording equipment that is inspired by the props you would have seen in. So this is based on like she's in her like yellow jumpsuit from like the original
The 1980s
cartoon.
Yeah.
Even though the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are more based on like their more recent incarnations, I think, but that
I don't know what she looks like in the more recent.
the yellow jumpsuit is sort
Ones.
of iconic.
Because like in the 90s when she's like a teenager who's like a food delivery person or something, she has a scooter or whatever.
I mean,
like,
I can believe it. I just
Yeah.
I don't recall knowing what she actually looks like in the more recent
yeah.
iterations.
This is a very classic. It's funny too because they even say that from episode to episode, you can see her change slightly depending on however it was they were drawing her.
Yeah.
So they didn't really quite stay on model all the time.
Yeah, the like subtle shade of back in the day, animators had a lot of freedom, and her appearance could change quite a bit from one episode to another. It's like you've ever seen like first season Simpsons where
Yeah,
Smithers is
God.
black,
Yep,
where they
that was surprising.
Yeah, and like just the entirely different like models for some of the characters and stuff. Anyway, I just thought I am amused by how we talked about Ren and Stimpy in previous one, and I'm just it's fun to see how they integrate these different people into this very 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 Smash Brothers inspired setup. Like I know you can't like copyright mechanics in games, but holy crap, this is definitely Smash Bros. They even have like the percentage life thing.
Yeah.
They've got like it's like, oh, this is just Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
I think there's only so many ways to represent a lot of those things, and Smash seems to do really well at showing you what information you need to know. Like
Yeah.
if they didn't take off on like Smash's thing, then it would be maybe more of a Street Fighter alike or what. Like there's so many fighting games out there now. I'm not sure if you could find a new way to represent some of it.
Yeah, but I mean, like if it was more Street Fighter like, then the fact that it's like a combination of Smash and Street Fighter would be, I guess, a little different. This is just Smash. Anyway, Smash is good. People like it.
Yeah.
So, copying your most successful rival is not the worst idea. All right, I think that is all the news I had to talk about. A little bit longer episode today because of the Nintendo Direct, and also because there's nothing coming after this.
there's no Fun Puff. They keep saying that until it sticks.
Calling it Fun Puff now.
Yeah.
I like Fun Puff. As a name, I don't really care about the stream itself.
Not
I'm a Magic
Lerm
person.
Tug. I love Lerm Tug too.
Lerm Tug's good, but I feel like Fun Puff's more fun to say.
It is.
Now let me grab what the thing for subscribers. Okay. And let's talk about what's coming up next.
Oh, good.
Because coming up tomorrow is Play It Forward, where apparently Wheeler is coming down the home stretch on Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. So it's going to be happening tomorrow morning, followed by Loading Main Live at 6 o'clock tomorrow. It's a variety show. Lots of weird things are going to happen live because
Lots of variety.
That's what will happen. And then I apologize. Windows decided to unmute my Slack for no reason.
Oh, God.
And then on Sunday, it is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice again.
He should be finishing it up this weekend, is my understanding.
It's starting to get like a James Bond title. It's like Shadows Die Twice again. You only die twice.
Shadows never dies twice again.
It's a good day to shadow twice.
And then Rhythm Cafe Samba de Amigo 2000.
Oh yeah.
And then Pokemon TCG on Is This Your Card? Apparently Wheeler thought that there were rumors that this new Pokemon game was coming out, but not for a while. It came out earlier than was thought. So
He's gonna finish his playthrough of online though.
he's going to finish this online. This is the last episode, theoretically, of Pokemon. He's going to go on to a different card game, but I guess might come back to see Pokemon trading card game live.
I mean, this Pokemon one was his second run through, so you got like 8 episodes.
Lots of Pokemon content.
And then on Monday, it's the Can't Draw Horses Club, where Corey and friends will be drawing things that may or may not be horses. Nothing on the Dice Friends. We finished up the Night of the Living Dead, and we taken a brief hiatus before starting Alabaster Kingdom, which will be, you may have seen being teased on Twitter. Should be super, super cool. That's starting on October the 4th. But then on Tuesday, it's Mine O'Clock, followed by Talking Sim, and followed by Let's Nope. I believe, at least for Let's Nope, so far, Ben and Adam have not told James what they're going to be playing, so nobody knows what they're playing.
Yep, surprises. Hopefully not jump scares, but it is a horror stream.
Yes. And then on Wednesday, it's Crossing the Streams, and also we don't have what's in there. So clearly, we haven't updated the schedule.
Somebody hasn't updated yet.
But that's not to say that there isn't a lot of great stuff coming up, because there is. We just don't know what it is yet. We just know that it'll be good.
Its name rhymes with blame.
To be fair, not all of that is that person's fault. Some of it is
not
other
all
people's
of it.
fault.
But some of it is, and also his name technically doesn't rhyme with blame. It rhymes with blames. It's okay. It's fine.
All right, let's welcome people who subscribe during the stream. Wait.
Well, get bent, everybody.
I know that's not true.
All
I've
the
seen people
amazing
subscribe
people who
during the
subscribe during the
stream.
stream, like
Oh no.
blank and also blank. I put in a space at the end of the person's name.
Okay, that's neat.
Ojo Vanosky 2 for 30 months. Thank you.
Arclight Domino for 46 months.
Yejirisk for 15 months.
Lucid Twee is a new subscriber. Welcome.
Graphics content has been around for 20 months.
Baron Samney 23 for 20 months.
No gifts for you. Gifted by Demon Fire. Rather paradoxically.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Julia Mon in the chat linked to the character previews for Alabaster Kingdom. It should be super great. And also thank you to Farrah Bender and Gapfiller with those 400 bits.
Yeah, and thanks to Adam for sending us that raid midway through. If you've never seen us before, Adam also streams over here, like with the Let's Nopes and stuff. But you can find everybody's home streams under the team Twitch team thing, or in the chat with the specific command that I've forgotten because I don't write them.
Did Gravity Pike not show up in the?
I didn't see it go by.
I
no.
didn't see it.
How odd.
Did we miss a few?
Did we miss more than one?
Did any of them come through when we crashed? Did they get lost in space?
Oh, well,
I know that's not really how
the
the system works,
yeah.
but
Lurbot should still pick up on them, I would assume, but
Yeah, they see them here. Oh, well, okay. In case we missed it, Gravity Pike also was an awesome subscriber. 90 months. Oh, I see. We just didn't get to their name. Well, yeah, we can't read everyone's name. 90 months is a worthwhile milestone, though. That is amazing. I don't think we missed anybody because the crash, because the teeny tiny Game Boy didn't eat your sub.
yeah.
teeny tiny Game Boy was hungry.
I'm
Must
hungry
eat.
too.
All right. We will talk to all y'all later. Toodles.
Bye.
Bye.